Welcome to the General Tire Jim Beaver Show, powered by Vision Wheel. Like to welcome my guest for this week to the line, Cam Douglas, Director of Marketing for Optima Batteries. Cam, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. Appreciate being here.
Are you finally catching your breath? Because I feel like between the Baja 1000, the holidays, and then King of the Hammers, you didn't get much of an off season.
No, it used to be back, I don't know, 5-10 years ago, we used to have winters off, but yeah, no, it's every weekend. It's just nonstop.
Yeah, that's there is no off season, especially in off road. It's just it's interesting the way the industry shifted. Not that I hate it, but it's just one of those shifts.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit before we jump into things, because man, we got a lot to talk about today, but I want to talk about Optima because, man, I mean, Optima, I want to talk about the involvement in motorsports, a lot of stuff you guys are doing behind the scenes, but let's talk about Optima as a whole, because there's been this huge shift happen. I mean, you guys have been around for 40 plus years. I mean, you've always been looked at as a premium brand. When you first came to market, I mean, you were bringing something completely different. But man, you guys have had to adapt the company. I mean, now we've got lithium ion stuff, we've got EVs, coming out. I mean, you guys have had to stay on top of trends.
Yeah, batteries it's an interesting business, right? I mean, everything you touch and feel today throughout your life is powered by a battery in some way, shape, or form, whether it's the key fob for your car, your iPhone, your, whatever. It's tough to avoid batteries. They're necessary for everything. We focus primarily on everything that's low voltage in automotive. And when I say automotive, that's obviously autos, trucks, anything that requires a battery to start a motor. So we're obviously involved in all types of different vehicles. Our parent company, Clarios, is the largest battery manufacturer of low voltage systems in the world. We power 1 in 3 vehicles on the road globally, and much closer to 2 out of 3 in the US. So chances are pretty good that you've got a battery that's built by our company in your vehicle, whether it's an Optima or another brand. We typically are responsible for that.
Well, talk a little bit about Clarios, because that's something I wanted to key in on, and we'll just jump right to it. But I think, I know in the past year or so, we've seen Clarios become more and more, I guess, apparent in marketing and things like that. Explain kind of how Clarios works and the parent company behind Optima, because I know Clarios now, it's becoming, you guys are actually pushing that as a name as a whole.
Yeah, it's nice to bring attention to our parent company, because obviously they fund and build all of the Optima products, but it's so interesting and beneficial to understand that their leadership position in the entire battery market, but also that Optima is going to leverage some of the technology that they're working on for, way out in the future. Lithium is kind of a thing today, right? But there's some new technology coming out that'll that will go well beyond lithium, be much more environmentally friendly, but also from a performance standpoint is just going to be, next level. So hopefully, as they start producing that more at an OE level, we'll be responsible for that new technology with an Optima branded, next technology, right? But we're currently leveraging all of that knowledge, all of that expertise in the lithium market, and that's responsible for some of our new products coming to market.
Yeah. Well, and talking about Optima, and you kind of touched on a couple points there, but Optima, like I said originally, has been around for a long time. I feel like And maybe there's some parallels here. I think you took over as director of marketing in 2019-ish, if I'm going off LinkedIn right. But I feel like you guys have had a
Yeah,
huge push recently.
yeah, I was director of sales and marketing since the early 2000s, but really focused on the marketing aspect of our product. As we grew, it became important for us to kind of, make sure that we had the right people at the helm to focus on things that were really in their wheelhouse. Love sales and love getting out there and meeting our customers and showing new products. But for me, it's I really love doing kind of the big picture stuff.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, obviously, you guys are involved at King of the Hammers with keying on that. I know Formula D. You guys are involved in a lot of different forms of motorsport, but obviously, being a battery company, I mean, some of what these drivers are putting their vehicles through are some of the most grueling, things on the planet. I mean, how does the motorsports transcend into the technology you guys put into the batteries?
Well, it's kind of interesting. When I started with the company, long time ago, our only customer was the U.S. military. The only reason I came on board was they asked a group of us to help them sell newfound capacity when they built a brand new facility. And they said, hey, we're going to be able to make twice as many batteries. Can you help us find customers? The interesting thing was that, it was, the first adopters were really the off-road market, where they found that, there were wonderful features and benefits to the product at that time that just weren't available anywhere else. A completely sealed product, extremely vibration resistant, something that held its charge longer while it was sitting, but also put out significantly higher power for its size to start, high compression motors and all that good stuff. So for a lot of reasons, it was like it was like a problem solver for a lot of, people that, put Jeeps through their paces, off-road race vehicles, etc. So they kind of found us, and we just kind of fed off that, and really, because it was like, wow, we have a bunch of built-in brand ambassadors at that time, right?
Yeah.
That were, saying, hey, this product's great. So we just made it more available and made more batteries for them. So that's kind of how it started. And now that I've babbled, I forgot your original question.
So yeah, going back to the original question, Cam, talk, a little bit about, you talked about the built-in brand ambassadors, but how do what you're learning at King of the Hammers, the Baja 1000, Formula D, all these different facets of motorsports you're involved in, what do you learn there that you take and you put back into the products that Optima is producing?
Yeah, so again, it was back in the early days, it was really a product that solved a lot of issues that off-road market, whether it was enthusiasts or passionate racers. But what we found is that we could obviously improve the product by putting it through these paces. So I hate to say all of our racers are guinea pigs, but in many ways they are. We're proving them, and as as off-road has evolved since long time ago, we're putting vehicles through their paces that like were never imagined, right?
Yes.
So whether it's an Ultra 4 car that's insane, right? Or Baja trophy truck, which is insane. They're from either a energy requirement standpoint, and I can talk more about that because that's from a technology standpoint as things have evolved, or strictly from a harsh environment, right? The harsh environment has remained kind of very similar, whether it's vibration resistance, it's heat and cold, things like that. That hasn't changed a lot, but the vehicles from a technology standpoint have changed dramatically. I mean, there's multiple computers on Bulvardi's truck, managing all sorts of things, whether it's fuel management or suspension or whatever, including, you know, 2 different Starlink systems, one reporting, you know, a lot of the data on the truck so that they can make sure that the truck's running okay, but also live streaming, which takes a considerable amount of bandwidth. Just a lot of different technology now that is relying on that battery all the time to provide the power necessary to run those things. So, and clean power, because, you know, you need to make sure that you're maintaining a level of voltage that isn't decreasing over time. So those are the things that are becoming much more important, whether it's your Raptor that you take out for, you know, a day out at King of Hammers or Johnson Valley just to go out and enjoy it with your friends and family, or whether it's hardcore racing like a Bulvardi or a Lauren Healy, right?
Well, and it's interesting you keyed in on that, and you mentioned energy requirement earlier, but I got to think in the last, 20 years, there's been a big shift just in production and OE side. You look at all these systems that cars are running that they did now and stuff like that. The energy requirement just on your everyday driver has got to be, insanely higher than it used to be.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you'll notice that most vehicles, even smaller vehicles, have either much larger primary batteries or they have dual batteries. There's also some vehicles on the market today that have 3 batteries, and that I'm not even getting into the EV portion of it. That's just, regular daily drivers. Cranking power has become much less important, and now it's much more about energy storage and its capabilities from being recharged quickly, but also putting out that power and that energy in a consistent manner.
Well, and you kind of touched on EVs there, and I kind of want to jump into that and want to talk about King of the Hammers, the Optima Oasis, which I was fortunate enough to be able to go out there and MC the Tanner Faust Drift. But want to talk about you guys' presence with the EVs out there, because you guys hit an absolute home run with the EV rally you guys had.
Yeah, it's a bunch of fun, and I'm, it's sometimes difficult, but put all the politics aside for a minute and then walk outside and actually put butts in seats. And there's a way to appreciate different technology. And I'll tell you, we have a Rivian here, and we put it through its paces for the last 3 years and had a bunch of fun doing all kinds of things. And it does some things incredibly well. But one of the things that's fun is just that EV, electric power delivery. But then, my daily driver's a Raptor R, right? And I can't get out of it. I love it, right? Whether it's on road or off road. Appreciating both aspects, but going right to the EV guys, we put on a rally. We started it 3 years ago, and we were the first people to have a offsite high-powered fast charger on the light bed out of Johnson Valley. And it was amazing. We had about 35 trucks at our first meet. But what was really cool is that we've got a lot of newbies to the off-road, passion.
Yeah.
And the reason they got there was because they bought this EV with the capability. They never would have been there if they hadn't bought that EV with, off-road capability. And so we're bringing new people into this market, and the funny thing was they had an appreciation for gas and diesel powered vehicles as well. This just brought them there. So it's making the market bigger, and they're as enthusiastic as anybody else. And so anyway, that was first year. Our second year, I think we had around 50 trucks. And this year, I think we had closer to like 80 trucks. We filled it up. And we had Rivians, we had Ford Lightnings, we had Hummers, we had Tesla came out with like 10 cyber trucks, and we're giving the keys to people and like, come out and drive it and have fun, regardless of what you think about cyber trucks. Because I have my own opinion, right? Everybody has their own opinion because they're so out there, right? But I'm just telling you, they were so much fun, and people had a bunch of fun with them. And anyway, great time. So it's expanded, and we've kind of grown with it. So we have a couple days dedicated to EV or alternative energy. We have a couple of Tacoma hybrids that, we welcome anything hybrid or whatever that might be pushing the envelope from a, new technology and alternative energy standpoint.
Well, let's talk about King of the Hammer as a whole, because you guys have a massive presence there, both with sponsored athletes. You guys obviously, partner with the event itself. You've got the Opto Oasis. I mean, you've brought in a ton of content creators and influencers. I mean, I was a part of that was brought in, but I mean, talk about your involvement at King of the Hammers, because you guys are, I mean, that's got to be a key piece of your annual marketing.
Oh, for sure. And, Dave Cole's put, props to him for putting on an event and keeping it growing. What a challenge to, basically put on, Burning Man meets, the Baja 1000 out in the middle of California. I mean, really? I mean, we talk a lot and it's an amazing struggle, but he does an awesome job. Our goal was to help be a genuine partner with King of Hammers and say, how can we elevate this, help support elevate it, because there were many other brands doing that as well. But how can we do our part to be involved, make this event, better and bigger for everybody. So that was our main goal. But we kept looking for a way to kind of, I don't know, I guess break through the noise. We're not just a brand that likes to go to events and put our brand on something and watch our brand go by. We've got to have a better and bigger presence to connect with our biggest customers, as well as all of our consumers. And we found that, having our kind of own little compound was a great way to do that. We could host some of our largest customers, both from an OE level and also from a distributor standpoint. And it was a great way to kind of be that home base for these different rallies that we put on. Touched on EV. We also do a Raptor specific rally. We did a Jeep rally. And then we did a fun event out in the middle of nowhere called Battle at Soggy Dry Lake. And so, the Optima Oasis was kind of the meeting grounds, kind of the home base, where we were able to kind of feed people, have a little entertainment, get everybody together at a neat social atmosphere, but then use that for a launching pad to go out and experience King of Hammers, use our product, use and abuse it, and be able to talk to people about why this battery works better for their application.
Whatever you do, General Tire delivers.
Rigid Chase Lite incorporates 5 modes, including stroke, brake, running, courtesy, and reverse in a compact 7-inch by 2-inch fixture. The Rigid Chase attaches to any roll bar or flat mounting surface, and users can control each of the multiple functions independently. The Rigid Chase is one more way for off-road enthusiasts to own the night.
Well, and you kind of touched on at the beginning of that, when you get involved with something, you don't want to just be a brand that's there. You want to elevate it. Let's talk a little bit about the Baja 1000 this past year, because I know Optima behind the scenes was a huge part of live timing and a lot of that stuff, and helped elevate that event this year and the way people, consumed it.
Yeah, and again, this was our involvement with SCORE and the Baja series is very important, both from obviously we support the series itself. We're the official battery, and then we also have a trophy truck team. So those are very important for us, and a lot of other teams go down there that we support, whether it's the Matlocks in the UTV class, or a lot of other racers, Hero Racing, and they just won the title in two-wheel, or a lot of other people that we help out with product as well. So that's very important for us. But when you touched on timing, this is where our larger company, Clarios, got involved. Part of the newer technologies as it relates to your battery in your vehicle is the software that communicates between your vehicle and the battery itself. So we're also big in that system development, which involves we have a whole division called Connected Services within Clarios, and that's really dealing with that electronic communication. So it was relevant for them to then help us with SCORE's initiative to provide better visibility on live timing that actually provides to not only the teams, but consumers and spectators that are watching SCORE to be able to say who's leading, right? That's been a big challenge for SCORE and for other off-road events, to be able to communicate that while you're watching, whether it's on your iPhone or TV. It's wonderful to watch these cool trucks out in the middle of the desert, but if you don't know who's winning, it's tough to really get engaged. So we've worked on a timing system that will actually have different timing loops throughout the race, so that at least every hour you're able to see corrected live timing on the screen. And that's what we're helping fund, and hopefully we'll see at San Felipe 250 here coming up, if that's going to work out. We keep making baby steps, but it's getting better.
Well, I think that's off-road as a whole. I mean, I've been part of it my entire life, and I feel like it's a lot of baby steps, but all the baby steps add up.
You got it.
Yeah. So want to talk a little bit. I know you guys got a new product line coming out. Well, new-ish. You guys launched a year and a half ago your lithium-ion battery line for power sports. I know I'm got one in my, in one of my UTVs and my jet ski. But talk a little bit about that, because now you guys are launching into passenger car, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So we're, again, slowly evolving, but we're taking all of this expertise within Clarios, putting it into this box that is now, a wonderful, lighter weight, more reliable, and has wonderful features to it. And we're, admittedly a little late to the market compared to what has been available. But we think we've taken a lot of the learnings from some products, first mistakes, and some of the negativity around lithium ion. I mean, you can YouTube lithium ion and see the activities, some positive and a lot of negative ones, obviously, that get all the big engagement. But the challenge was create this new product that genuinely has the the capability of doing harm and making it safe, reliable, and something that genuinely provides those incremental benefits that people are looking for. The original launch of power sports was a very new market for us. We never had a power sports battery. So we never had really a replacement for UTV or motorcycle. And so with our launch of lithium, that was a brand new market for us. The neat thing about it is obviously everybody's attracted first to the weight savings. But then the performance is amazing, because what you want to see over the life of a battery's discharges is a very consistent and even voltage. So what it does is it, you know, when it's done with its capacity, it drops like a rock, right? Like when you're when it's done, it's done. Now, lead acid batteries kind of are very gradual in their drop of voltage, and it kind of lets you know. It's like, hey, I'm getting weak. It's not starting as quick. Lithium will start it super quick to the last energy it's got, and then it's just, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
And that's but the benefit is along the way. You get this nice power delivery, right? It's obviously totally sealed. The lithium cycles, you know, 100 times better than lead acid. So if you're ever in a situation where you're discharging it and recharging it numerous times, it'll last like your iPhone does, right? Yeah. So those are some of the neat benefits. One feature that we have that others don't is we have what's called the Power Link. And you said you have one in a UTV?
Yes.
And is it hard to get to the battery in your UTV?
Yeah, it's under the rear seat, so it's a little bit of a process, but you guys have the Power Link.
Yeah, so we've got this Power Link cable that now fits like maybe right near your shifter. And if you ever leave the lights on, it goes dead. In order to jump start the battery, you just push the little button, because it reserves 30% of its power, and it'll give you that one more big jump start. In addition to that, it's also your cable so that you can hook up a battery maintainer and or charger, so that if it is ever, you know, dead, or you put it in the garage and you want to get it to full charge, you just plug that thing in right there. You don't have to remove the seat or anything.
Which, and you know, I know a lot of people like me are, you know, I've got a fleet of side-by-sides and stuff like that. And, you know, you're always running the stereos when it's parked and things like that. You don't have to really worry if you're out at Glamis and, you know, you're having a good time and all of a sudden your stereo and all the lighting at night runs it down. You don't really have to worry, because you can still get back to camp. So high five to you guys, because you've probably saved a lot of people, including me.
Right on. Yeah, I think if we were smart, I think what we should do is go out to Glamis with and run around there with a bunch of jump packs, right? Charge people $5 for a jump, because it's kind of a pretty common occurrence. So
yeah, especially out in the desert in the wintertime, for sure. But before I let you go, I got a little bit of interesting information texted me this morning. I didn't realize you're an OG stand-up jet ski guy and raced in the original World Finals.
Oh, dude, that was so long ago. Yeah. I think it was, when was that? It was like in the 70s. They had the very first jet ski finals at the Newport Dunes, of all places, in Newport Beach. Yeah, and I had a bunch of buddies that worked at Kawasaki, and I actually worked at a jet ski shop down on Coast Highway. And I had built, you know, at the time, the big deal was take your 440, make it into a 474 and dual carbs, and, you know. So I had all that stuff done. And I think I missed the podium. I think I got 4th place in the first World Finals. So anyway, that was fun.
When was the last time you were on a stand-up? You still ride, or has it been a while?
It's been a while. Yeah, you give me the opportunity though, and I'll show you a thing or two.
I bet you would.
For sure, I'll show you how to fall off it.
Well, I've got my SXR, the 1500, and I will let you ride that anytime you want. I can promise you, it's got an Optima battery in it.
Yeah, it'll take a little bit of learning and coaching. So I'd love to do that.
Well, Anna Glennon, I know you're listening. I think we've got a challenge now. We got to get Cam back on a stand-up. Oh, well, I appreciate you taking the time, Cam. I mean, Optima, obviously you guys are doing a lot behind the scenes for the world of off-road. I appreciate that. Thank you guys for what you're doing behind the scenes. And man, it's been great catching up, and hopefully we see you at an event here sometime soon.
Well, my job's fun. We get to do the stuff we enjoy. We're all into it. So we're out here to make products better to help not only everybody else, but selfishly ourselves. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Cam.
Thank you. Appreciate the time, Jim.